George Kambosos Jr., in my opinion, the face of Australian boxing. Against all odds, the kid from the area became the man in the arena. 4 belts on and a hungry desire to continue his legacy, we talk all things boxing, family and everything in between. I'm Joey, your host, and welcome to this week's podcast, George Kambosos.
Absolute pleasure, man. Great to be on, and obviously, we've got a great relationship with you guys, and absolute pleasure to be here and having a chat.
Yeah, appreciate your time, brother. I guess I wanted to take this angle a bit differently because I know you've done things on Channel 9, Joe Rogan. The story's kind of been told a little bit, so I just wanted to take a bit of a different angle. I guess, in the young early days, because I went to school with you, the bullying started, is that in primary school or?
Yeah, look, the bullying started, in primary school a little bit, and then obviously when you go to high school, it's a whole different, situation. Kids are getting older, and there's a lot more out there. So in year 7, I wasn't the fittest kid running around. You probably remember I was overweight and just this young Greek kid who, was trying to make it in rugby league, and had this dream of being a big footy star, but was eating too much. Was stacking on the weight. So the bullying, was there, and I wouldn't be so athletic. I wouldn't be coming first in everything, but I always try my best. I always try hard. But I feel that bullying inside, that bullying, led me to where I am today.
Yeah. Okay. So taking it back a bit further, like in the early days, I guess. What, growing up where, the Shire or Rockdale or around there?
I went to school, obviously Bexley Public School. My grandmother's got the hairdressing shop there. My mother was working as well, and I spent a lot of time in that area. But I was obviously in the Shire in Sylvania, so always back and forth from the St. George area to the Shire.
So
good times, good memories there.
When was kind of the first time you kind of laced up the gloves, bro?
I fell into boxing really by chance, by fluke. It was to help my rugby league, to get my fitness.
Oh, okay, the fitness
to a better level. So I was in year 6, and my old man, because obviously we live in Sylvania.
Shout out Jimmy, bro.
Jimmy, he's like he said, look, son, you're not going to cut it. He's pretty direct, he's pretty straightforward, and anyone that knows him knows the kind of person he is. He will say it the way it is. He goes, look, you're not going to make the A side. You're going to make the B side if you don't do something in the off season. He goes, look, we live not too far from the beach. Let's do some nippers. I said, look, no chance. You're not going to see this Greek kid who's overweight, big stomach running on the beach. Ain't going to happen. So he goes, what about boxing? You like the Rocky movies? Why don't we go down to the local PCY at Rockdale and give it a crack? So the first day I went into that gym, I just it was my calling. Everyone has their calling in life, and as soon as I went there, the thrill of everything. Obviously, it was very scary, very
How old are you here?
I was at that age. I was probably like 10 years of age, 10, 11. Year 6, and just the sheer smell of that gym, old school gym. Would have.
Is this hardcore we're talking about?
This is the Rockdale PCY.
Yeah.
So that it's an old school rundown kind of gym.
Yeah.
A lot of kids have said, nah, I'm going to go do something easier. But it drove me to it. And, every day I just kept rocking up. Lost heaps of weight. Got down to 46 kilos from 61, 62.
Because I don't remember you being chubby in school, bro.
It's year 6 obviously started the boxing. So I started to lose a little bit of weight. And then year 7 still had a bit of weight on me. But I remember coming back in year 8, it was totally different.
Yeah.
I think I was determined from year 7 to year 8 in that 6 weeks holiday period to just cut down and come back as a new person, not only physically but mentally and with my confidence.
When did that time kind of come from, being like rugby league being the full the dream and the career to being like, hang on, I think boxing's kind of overtaken that? Like, was there a time when you're like, I'm enjoying this a bit more than I'm enjoying that?
Yeah, look, at the start, I loved both. When I fell into boxing, I really, was focused on my rugby league, but I was really enjoying boxing as well, and I could see the benefits, in boxing. But I think it got to a point where I was in boxing for maybe a year, and I just started to get good at it. I started to really feel that, you know, this is something I want to do, something I want to, you know, progress in. Now, at the same stage, my rugby league was getting better. So I'd made the Sharks development squad.
Oh, yeah.
But
Is this Harold Matts or before?
Before Harold
Oh,
Matts.
yeah.
So the development squad for the Sharks, but I also had made the state titles in the New South Wales team for boxing. So my old man will always say that you're going to reach the crossroads. It's going to come one day where you don't know, where you're not going to be able to do both. And at that stage, I didn't know what he meant. You know, I just thought I could do both. But, you know, I remember fighting on a Friday night and then, you know, playing rugby league on a Saturday, and it just got too much. My body was physically, you know, broken. And
Fuck, so you were fighting on a Friday?
Fight on a Friday night, amateur fight, out in Richmond, I remember. And then on the Saturday morning, you know, you're getting up to play park footy.
Who did you play for?
I was the Guyme Gorillas.
Oh, yeah,
Guyme Gorillas. I actually played 100 games to the Guyme Gorillas, so, you know, very proud of that achievement. And, you know, it got to that point where I had to turn my back on one and say, look, I'm going to put everything into boxing. And, you know, that's what I did. From that day when I said, no, you know, unfortunately, everything I wanted to do in my life from a young kid to be a footy player, you know, was overtaken by this obsession of wanting to be a fighter and wanting to become a world champion, you know, eventually. And that's what I did every day, you know, for my whole childhood, from every amateur fight, wins and losses in the amateurs. I just had this focus, this obsession, this plan that I'll be world champion. You know, when you think about something every single day, and even now, it's like, you know, obviously fast forwarding, I've achieved so much in boxing. I've been world champion. I've got, you know, 5-6 world title belts sitting at home. You know, I'm very blessed. I've made a lot from the sport, but still this obsession that I've got to do it again. You know, every day I'm thinking about becoming a world champion again, hearing it again. And I think the day that goes will be the day that it's time for me to move on to something else. But that fire burns like it was burning at that young age.
Because I'm big into like manifesting and speaking things into existence, and I still remember, like I tell everyone this story, bro. I still remember the day. I still remember the exact spot I was in. It was just outside the quad a bit, and it was like, I think Future or someone said, "Fuck, you know, George is the man at boxing," and da da da. And he said to me, "Bro, I'm going to be the champion." And it, like, putting into context, Australia was nothing. Like, there was nothing here.
There was nothing here.
There was nothing even to look forward to. There was no path. There was no... So to say it even out loud, at that age, at that point, it's like, it's almost boys had a giggle. Like,
yeah, look, it's...
You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
you've got to think at that age, you know, year 7, year 8, there was no real social media. Yeah, you might have had your Facebooks and stuff, but, you know, there was no, like, Instagram where you're going to get inspiration. Like, I get so many young kids now wanting to be fighters, and they want to, you know, train with me and get advice from me because they see the training. They see it firsthand now on social media. It's so easy to get online, go on your Instagram, and you say, oh, okay, that looks cool. I want to do that. I want to be champion. So, you know, the vision is a lot clearer for these younger kids. But at that, you know, stage back then, you know, that vision was, you know, through my training, through YouTube, trying to find things on YouTube and, you know, old DVDs, you know, finding fights, you know, the Pacquiao fights, the, you know, Diego Corrales, the Castillo Wars, all these different fights. I would sit there and watch, you know, endless, to know that one day I'll be there. I'll be a part of these, you know, this club of world champions. You know,
was it a fact of like sitting there and actually like, you know, literally visualizing like you with the belts on? Like, was it that deep that you visualized things like that, or just was it a goal to be like?
Yeah, look, at the start, obviously, you always have that vision. One day I'm going to be world champion. You know, you sit in your room and you lift your arms up. You know, you have that vision, you know. Even when I'm training by myself, when I'm running, you know, back then I had that vision of, you know, one day they're going to say the new world champion. But as my career progressed, as I got closer and closer to, you know, the dreams getting there, you know,
you can smell it, you can touch it.
You won Australian title, you're in the top 15 in the world. You're starting to make your road towards that, you know, that title. You can actually see it clearer and clearer. That's what I tell these young kids, that, you know, the vision might be this big, but the harder you work, the more doors are going to open, and the closer you're going to get to seeing that vision more clearer, and then, you know, you're going to touch it eventually.
I guess also vision is one thing, and I do tell a lot of people, because a lot of people kind of jumped on when it became, you know, when it came like kind of like a thing to support you now because you're on top kind of thing, you know. And I guess I always seen even from when we left school, dedication to the craft, like always, just day in, day out. I even vaguely remember one New Year's, bro. I think had a big night. I think it was field day or something. I looked at my phone the next day, and you were on the road, and like I remember sitting around with the boys on the couch, you know, as you do when you're talking about the night before, and you're just sitting around. I'm like, this is the difference, like. And so when I seen that who you've become, it's like fuck. It was undeniable, the work and the, you know, that you've put into your craft.
That's what we always, you know, for myself and obviously, you know, my father and, you know, the people that were around me, you know, from the very beginning. The work rate, the undeniable, you know,
100%.
Doesn't matter what, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas Day, you know, still to this day I'm doing the same thing. Christmas I'm training, New Year's I'm training, New Year's Eve I'm putting in work. It's the obsession. It's that, you know, that journey to get to the top, and you know, that's what it's always been from that young age. You know, even off, like, I would lose a fight in the amateurs. You know, I wouldn't perform on a Friday. I'd wake up on a Saturday morning, and most fighters, most amateurs, after I lost, they'll take a few days off. I'd put the sweatsuit. It could be 30 degrees out, so I put the sweatsuit on, and I'd go around 10 Ks just to punish myself, to say, you know what, don't lose. Keep winning, you know. And same thing now. Obviously, I lost my last 2 fights to a very good fighter.
Oh yeah, sure.
And still, I went back into the gym. I didn't take too much time off. You know, within a day or so, I went back in the gym. Do I have to? You know, at this stage of my career, where I've, you know, I walk downstairs at my house and the belts are there, and obviously, you know, you look at how much you've made. You say, okay, I'm pretty comfortable. My family's comfortable. My kids and my kids' kids are going to be comfortable, but it comes down to the glory. It comes down to, you know, the obsession. And that's the same fire that burns from a young kid to now. The
light ever gets dimmed, or the fire does burn a little bit
eventually
sometimes?
Will, yeah. Eventually it'll get to a point where you've maxed out. You've achieved what you've had to achieve, and you've got to a point where your body physically can't do it anymore, where you want to spend time with, more time with your kids. You know, I've got 3 kids and, you know, a beautiful family where, you know, it gets to the point where you want to just commit to them. You know, my boys might really fall into boxing or another sport, and you want to give them everything. I think that's where things will change, but for now they're very young, and for me, I'm very motivated and inspired to continue doing more in this sport.
Speaking on the topic of the kids and family, bro, Meek Mill talks about this thing which is called, like, you know, the name of his album, which is Expensive Pain. They talk about, you know, to me that's epitome of you, where you're just fully dedicated to your craft, and at the cost of that is the time and the, you know, being a father. I'm a father myself, bro, and I understand how much time away that it, you know, it's kind of like trying to reassure yourself that it's for the long run and the better course. Do you feel it was hard to find the balance in that?
Yeah, look, it is tough, you know, especially as your kids get older and they start to understand, oh, where you going, Dad? You know, I'm going back to the gym. Okay, you're just there. I go back. Or, you know, when I got to go overseas and do my 6 or 8 week camps, you know, it's a lot harder now. Obviously, it's a lot easier when you didn't have kids.
Yeah.
Just get up and just go and do what you have to do. But when you have your kids, they ask questions and they understand. You know, my daughter, you know, and it breaks my heart, you know.
Yeah, that's
hearing this story where, you know, in the Lopez fight, and obviously they're watching it, and same with the second, you know, Haney fight, where I didn't bring them. I wanted to watch it at home. You know, and the blood started, you know, from my face and the cuts. You know, my daughter wouldn't watch it. You know, my son wouldn't watch it. They kept turning away, and then my daughter kept saying that she feels sick. You know, so hearing them stories, it's hard, but, you know, I'm very proud to, you know, have given them, you know, a real good jump start in life. You know, from my, you know, pain. It's an expensive pain. It's true, but you know, that's what it's about. You know, when you're obsessed about something, and, you know, that's what you know you live for.
Yeah,
you got to go through whatever. You know, you're a warrior, and, you know, if it means, you know, doing what you have to do and spending a little bit less time with your kids to chase that dream, you know, you have to do it, and then the time will come where, you know, I'll be able to spend 110%.
And they'll understand what.
And they'll understand. The older they get, they'll realize, you know what, Dad did this. Dad has all these belts. Dad's got all this footage from the fights because, you know, he put in the work.
It's almost like I find with me as, like, being a father, like, it's almost like a leverage too, where it's like, how could I tell my son or daughter or, you know, whoever to do something if I've never committed to doing it myself, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I know what it takes to get to the top of a very niche sport. You know, boxing, to get to the top is extraordinary. It's very, very hard. You know, you have a team, but ultimately it's you in that ring. It's you putting in that work, and it's the extras. Now, I'm very blessed of this road that I've had. Now, I can teach my kids the same thing. Now, I'm not telling my boys to be fighters, my daughter to be a fighter, or they can do whatever they want. You know, as long as it's a good path, you know, I'll support them. But no matter what, I always have, you know, lessons, you know, and learning and learn from, you know, my wins and losses in boxing to show them, you know, a good road, and to show them that, you know, you want to do something, you know, your hard work, you know, your discipline, your dedication. That's with anything.
And speaking on top, like, you know, on that same topic as well, is just like, how important is it to have, you know, a partner that understands not only your dedication to the craft, but like, you know, like supports your dreams and understands this is how it's going to go, kind of thing.
Yeah, look, it's very important. You know, I'm very blessed to have my wife, Beck, where she understands the journey. She's understood it from the day she met me. She understood that there'll be times where I'm away in camp 6-8 weeks, and she's got to hold the house down. You know, or she's got to be doing things, you know, sending emails, and, you know, at the start of my career trying to get sponsors and creating these packages.
So she was hands-on as well?
She was hands-on. She was doing all that for me, you know. Yeah. Very important. But we're a team. At the end of the day, I do the fighting, and she does, you know, the things that make my life a little bit easier. She understands that, and it's not easy. It's definitely hard on the wife of a fighter. Yeah. See their husband go in that ring and, you know, getting hit and being in. I mean,
because we were sitting ringside when, you know, couples. We can see her and the family. She rides every punch and every emotions, man.
And as much as I physically take the shots, you know, she mentally takes the shots.
I can see it. I'm like,
it's very hard for her, but you know, she's. I feel that without her, things might have been different. You know,
of course, yeah.
Might not have been able to get right to the top. As much as I have a great support team, and obviously my old man and my family, you got to have the right woman. You got to have the right, you know, person in your corner.
Well, you can see how damaging it is to have the wrong one. You know, like Mike Tyson, and, you know.
Well, you see many times where a lot of fighters they go on a different road where they have the wrong woman, where, you know, the woman is there for different things. They're there for the flash. They're there for the parties. And when it all finishes and when things come crashing down, they're gone. You know, for me, you know, after my Haney fights, you know, where obviously I lost my belts, you know, obviously you're disappointed.
Yeah.
But my wife showed us, as long as you're safe, you're healthy, you're safe, we've got a beautiful family, you know, we're set for life. What's it to be sad about?
Kind of puts things into perspective.
Puts things into, you know, it makes things realistic. And, you know, as much as it's a sport, we're going to win, we're going to lose, and it's about how we bounce back.
Yeah, because it says in, you know, the Ways of a Superior Man, this book, I don't know if you've read that book, where it talks about if the man doesn't, you know, follow his true purpose, ultimately everyone suffers, you know.
It's true, yeah.
I guess by you going out and getting it, your whole family has benefit.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's true. Look, if the man's not doing what, you know, the way I look at it is, you know, I'm the supplier for my family. I'm the warrior. I'm the man where, you know, I got to put a roof on my family's, you know, head. I got to put food on their table, you know. So if a man is not doing that, they're lazing around and they've got no strive in anything they want to do.
Because you just distract yourself with pleasures.
Yeah, it's not a real man.
Yeah,
a real man. And I go back to my grandparents. You know, my grandfather. You know, both of them, they both came to Australia with nothing, and they worked extremely hard, you know, to provide so much for their kids, to create this family. So, you know, I'm very, you know, focused, and still to this day, focused on giving, you know, more to my family and kids, and being that role model, you know, as a husband and as a father as well.
I guess, well, where was your actual first amateur fight? Because I remember being at a few myself at the Croatian club, you know, waving the Greek flag, coming out with the boys, and I'm sure you remember a few of us, and we were still, you know, with the t-shirts and the usual crowd. And I think, you know, my biggest language is literally seeing, sometimes not even my brothers, just people I know prosper, you know. And it's, I remember that watching the Lopez fight, and, you know, me and the boys lost our voice, and it's like, because it's almost like we won too, because.
Well, you've come from the same, like the same, obviously, neighbourhood, the same area, the same, you know, school. You know, it's the same where I see, people from our area doing great. You want to support them, you want to get behind them, you want to be on the journey. They win beautiful. They lose, still want to support them, be behind them. My first amateur fight was in Queensland, in Caboolture for the Golden Gloves. So I had to go all the way out. It's in Whoop Whoop, Queensland. I don't even know exactly where it is these days, but
like the drink kombucha.
No, Caboolture. It's a town there, and it's very.
Do you remember who it was?
I fought this tall, lanky kid, man. He came out. He was like 6 foot. I was tiny.
6 foot at what weight?
He was massive. I don't even know how he made the weight, but he had these skinny legs. And I'm looking at him thinking to myself, what am I doing in this ring? First amateur fight, and I just went to war with this kid. I started throwing big paymakers, and 3 rounds of just constant, big shots, bloody his nose up, and ended up winning the fight.
Did you get the W?
I got the win.
Oh yeah,
and that's where that obsession starts to come through. It's like, wow, I had a win. Okay, when's the next one? When's the next one? And it's the same. If you go all past these years where I beat Lopez, that's why I took another hard fight because
nobody wanted that fight, bro.
Well, no one wanted the Lopez fight, and no one wanted the Lomachenko fight, no one wanted the Haney fights. And obviously I fought Lopez, took all his belts. Then I went straight into, obviously, the Lomachenko deal, which unfortunately couldn't be done. And then Devin Haney, props to him, stood up, and another guy who no one wanted to fight because you look at this guy, styles make fights. Very tough style to beat, very defensively, sound, very sharp on his feet and his hands. But is it ego? I don't think so. Some people say, his ego pushed him to fight, these guys, and obviously it didn't turn out the way they thought it would. But I think it's, chasing
greatness,
best guys, chasing greatness and daring to be great and chasing, the best guys where I knew it'd elevate myself. Now, I've learned a lot from these fights. I've
100%.
The experiences I've had, and obviously I can feel it in training. Being with these guys for so many rounds, you learn from that, and I'm very excited for the next few steps.
There was a special video that went viral after the fight where you and the Haney camp boys, and obviously the lead up to that, it was like, was it 90%? Like, was it legit?
Yeah, look, we're both competitive. When he beat me that first fight, I just blacked out. I went into a point where I said, you know what, I'm just going to become a man obsessed again and just block everything out, be on a war path to beat this guy. And obviously, me and my coach Chris just went on this war path in the gym, day in, day out, putting in the work. And we had an unbelievable camp. We had a really good camp. So when you get to that fight week and you get to, here he is, this is the guy that took all my belts. Obviously you have that fire inside you, and obviously he's trying to defend the belts now. So we're both young, competitive, athletes, both, warriors. So yeah, it's 100%. That's not an act. There's no act. It's fire against fire.
Yeah.
We both want to win. I want to take what's mine back, and obviously he wants to defend what's his now. So once it's said and done, once the fight's done, obviously, fair play to.
Yeah, it was a good moment that you guys shared,
and we shook hands. He said I changed his life. I said you changed my life, and I wish him all the best.
He actually thanked you. I remember that.
He did. Look, I gave him an opportunity. Not many guys wanted to fight him, and like I've said many times, you get all these, these clowns on social media. Oh, he lost to this guy, and he's finished. And it's like you fight the best guys. That's what the fans want. But when you don't come up with a victory, you become the bad guy. You become the guy that he's finished. From a select few, but ultimately, no one wanted to fight this guy. We could have chosen anybody else. Could have defended who we wanted against and made some easy fights and look good and held onto the belts and look at us. But like I said, I wanted to chase that greatness. I wanted to chase the best, and he was one of the guys. So I gave him the opportunity. Obviously, he took the belts, and his opportunities are going to come now. He's going to fight possibly Lomachenko. So
how do you reckon that will go?
It's a really good fight. It's an interesting fight. I was watching my fight with Haney, the second fight, a couple of days ago again, just analysing a few things.
Was that your first time?
No, I've watched it a few times, but I like to just analyse a few things, and I feel that what I did in the first couple of rounds, the switching, the movement, was fantastic. It really just brought out a whole different look. I got carried away a little bit in round 4-5 where he started to get that range again. I went back to my old style. Then in round 8 and 9, I was able to land some big shots.
Yeah.
Credit to him, man. That right hand that I landed was the same right hand I landed on Lopez, and he took it pretty well. He's still obviously still standing. So, you learn from these fights, and I think Lomachenko is going to sit back and look at a lot of these angles and movements and switching. Obviously, he's a southpaw, but again, Haney I think is just going to become better and better. His size, his reach. I think going to be a bit too much for Lomachenko.
Do you reckon the youth has anything to do with
I
it?
think so. I think Haney's 23, 24. He's recovering a lot quicker. He's really just that youth. Where the older you get, obviously I'm 29, you feel it more and more. And obviously Loma's 33, 34, I think. So he's definitely going to be feeling it more than what I am, and definitely feeling it more than what Haney is.
You would know what it's like, how the belts change your life, and I guess I wouldn't say it was overnight, because you kind of was on an upward, and then it kind of did personally annoyed me when after the Lopez fight, and I started seeing your channel, and I'm like, man, where was everyone when before? Because for a long time, respectfully, would have some other no names who did a one fight for the rugby league guy, and then he's the next, and it's like, man, they're just throwing these names in. But as soon as it kind of took you to win all 4 belts for them to go, oh, hang on, we got Georgie,
we got Kambosos. Yeah, look, it was it was a hard journey. We did it the tough way overseas, and very little support. We just stuck to our guns. We said, no, we're going to do it our way. We know what the big picture is. We know where we want to go, and we're not going to be distracted by anything. If the media want to support us, they can support us. If someone wants to come in and back us, they can back us. But we're just going to stay focused on this warpath, on this journey, and that's what we did. Now, you would get a lot of certain different names popping up in Australian boxing, and you got to remember who's with who and who's getting the backing from the media. Now, they make them out to be bigger stars than what they actually are. But we stood, under the radar. The fans and the social media presence has always been huge, and they knew who Kambosos was. And we just waited for that moment. When that moment came, we took it with both hands, and obviously everything changed. Then all the media want to come and show their love and be there at the airport and put you on all these programs and do these documentaries and everything, which obviously it comes with a position. Maybe I should have turned my back on a few of them because they didn't show the respect to me when I was begging them for opportunities. There'd be times where, as much as we stood on our path, I would message a lot of these reporters and say, listen, I'm fighting at Madison Square Garden. I might be the first fight of the night.
I couldn't believe it.
Mickey Bay, former world champion. Can I get a story? And you might get 1 out of the 10 messages you send, and they do a little column like that. Or you got another guy when the purse bid's done with me and Lopez, and I'm making obviously this huge amount of money. It was a record-breaking purse bid. Obviously, eventually didn't even happen, that kind of money, but it's a huge fight. It's the undisputed championship of the world. And the reporter reaches out and says, yeah, we want to run a story. I said, look, please, if I'm going to, we haven't had a great relationship, but if we're going to do something here, give the respect to what I've had to do to get here.
Yeah, where it's due.
And we spoke for 20 minutes. I look in the paper the next day on the Sunday, and I find this little column, and they had this other boxing thing about someone else, and I had this little column of Kambosos. Okay, that's the respect. But it put a chip on my shoulder, and it still leaves a chip on my shoulder right now because I see how a lot of them have changed again, where they want to be there when I had the belts. Now they've kind of gone another way. Now that I don't have them anymore, but I'll get them back. I'm going to get a belt back, and I've learnt more. I've learnt my lessons, and I know how to be better as a champion when my time comes again. And I know who to bring in, the right people, and obviously the people that you ain't going to get a chance again.
They almost just eat you up and then spit you out, kind of thing, eh? That's the way they.
Yeah, look, they do. Obviously, there's still a lot of media there, but I've always been the kind of person where, I've got a massive social media base.
Yeah,
whatever I want to put out there goes viral, and I've always said to myself that I'm going to create my own social media. I'm going to create my own voice, my own newspaper, my own social media presence where I can say I'm fighting this guy. Look, everyone's still waiting to see who I'm going to fight. There's so much, anticipation of who's Kambosos fighting. Where's it going to be? What's going to be on the line? What's it going to be for? So I don't really need too many of these.
Have you locked it in?
Media guys. It's getting close.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still a lot of back and forth, but it is getting very close, and it's going to be very exciting. But I'm at that point where if media want to come and support me. If not, Kambosos is his own media, and ultimately I'm still the face of Australian boxing.
100%.
It's good being known here. It's good having that presence here, but it's a whole different level when you're known all over the world. When you're known in America, and when they put something about Kambosos in America, it blows up. When they put it in anywhere else, it blows up. That's the true face.
So you did, because even with the media stuff, like I'd obviously following you since we left school and that, and you've done what, something over 200 rounds with Pacquiao?
Yeah, look, even the Pacquiao stuff. Look, I got a lot of good American media from that, and obviously media in the Philippines and stuff, and a little bit trickled down to here, but still not mass amounts of media here. It really took me to take out, a pound for pound top 5 guy, a guy who was the hottest name in boxing, who had just beaten Lomachenko in TFMO Lopez, to bring all these belts back home. It's never been done before in Australian boxing, and it never will be done again. I stand firmly on that.
Oh, no way.
To bring all these belts back home the way I did it, I don't think it would ever happen again. And and obviously my motivation now is to do it again, to pick up a few more belts and add them to the collection.
How did the Pacquiao thing even come about? How did he find you? Or
I was in the US, and I was preparing for a certain fight that was going to be back here in Australia. I think it was Brandon Ogilvie. And as I was sparring a lot of good guys over in the US, started making a lot of noise in the gyms there. My name started going around, and obviously I was training under Justin Fortune at that stage.
yeah.
And he's got that connection with Pacquiao and obviously Freddie Roach. So we're sparring at the Freddie Roach gym. Now at that stage, he was fighting Vargas, who was tall and rangy. So it didn't really fit my style to what Manny was going to fight. But I went back home, had my victory, and then obviously Manny Pacquiao had his victory. Then he got matched up, and they made it happen, which was incredible that the way they did it, to fight Jeff Horn. Jeff's not the biggest guy in the world. He's an Aussie, rugged kind of style. They said, you know what? And I was over there again, preparing for another big fight. All of a sudden, Freddie turned around, and obviously Justin Fortune as well, and said, look, do you want to spar Manny Pacquiao? How do you feel about sparring Manny against your guy Jeff Horn? I said, man, I'm in. Let me know. So I had to go back home, have that big fight against Camille Bala. Obviously, in the fight, I copped a really bad cut, and the first thing that came to my mind was, shit, the sparring with Manny Pacquiao. I hope this doesn't, ruin that. Got a great victory there, and then 2-3 weeks later, I was in the Philippines sparring Manny Pacquiao.
because he's like a god over there, eh?
He's
I've seen you guys running up hills.
Yeah,
and
running up hills. And
it was like 40 other men, full media.
Media's with him every day. I really don't understand how he does it. Look, I'm a kind of guy that you do your media obligations, but I like to be in silence. I like to train in peace, and I like to just have my time, with my kids and family. But he's just with so many people. The army's with him. He's got the commander. He's got news. He's got politicians. It's really incredible to see and to be there firsthand. 3 world title campaigns with him. It was something out of this world.
Did you take anything away from the way he held himself through the media, or did he just lap it all up? And was he reserved type thing, or
he's very good at that time management, picking the right moments, and that's where I learnt where you need to have good time management. Got to be able to do things the right way, get your rest, get your training in, and obviously do your media obligations. Now, in the first Haney fight, I might have forgotten that. Obviously, coming off the big win.
You've gone on helicopters, going around the thing.
I was on helicopters. I'm driving Ferraris. I'm, on Channel 7. I'm doing documentaries. I'm, Kambosos, the biggest name in Australian boxing with all the belts. It blew up pretty big. Just done.
Did you train at all? You almost
I trained well. I trained very well, but it was the little things, the 1%ers. I'm not taking away Devin Haney's victory. Great win. He won the fight. But it was the 1%ers that got me there. Being in that war path, the recovery, doing the things the right way, your right foods. When you get caught up in the limelights and get caught up in, trying to build that brand, you sometimes forget of all the 1%ers, and that's what happened. I missed out on doing the right things. I made up for it in the second fight, but he became a better fighter. He became bigger and stronger and rangier, and he did the right things as well. I went on that path in that second fight, and obviously came back in that second fight a lot better fighter, a lot physically better. Had very good moments in that fight.
You looked a lot bigger in that fight.
I was just, more defined. I really just put in the work. just said nothing's going to distract me, and I'm all in. And you know, if he beats me, you know what, he's the better man. But I'm going to give him my all. That's what I did. I'm very proud of that moment where a lot of fighters, and if I didn't prepare right, you know, in that round 10, I had some good moments. In round 10, he came back real strong. It probably would have stopped me if I didn't prepare the right way. But I was just so conditioned, so physically and mentally ready for that fight. And you know, it shows the kind of guy he is. The elite fighter he is. But it shows where I am too, to go in these rounds with him, and obviously the rounds with, you know, Teofimo Lopez as well.
Was that the first time Lopez went that long?
I believe he has done 12 before, but he has obviously cruised through and, you know, done the business pretty well. This was the first proper fight, you know, man-to-man, you know, war where he's taking shots, I'm taking shots, and literally, you know, war of attrition. The little victories in each bit of the rounds of who's going to get it over who. And, you know, that night I was not going to be denied no matter what. And I said it to so many people, I'm prepared to die in this ring. If I die tonight, you know, it's for a good cause. So that's how I felt, and that's how I feel now. That's how I felt in the second Haney fight. Prepared to die again. Was ready to give it all. That's how I feel. I feel right now that this part of my next part of my career, even though it's so much on the line with my family and, you know, everything, I'm just a warrior. I love to fight, and I love to, you know, have that mentality.
Because it's also a lot of fighting mentally as well. And I guess, you know, not to liken it to rugby league, because there's 13 other guys out there, but sometimes in a match, like even when I'm watching, because I've played so many years, is you can see like if an upset's about to happen or the person's about to win. And I remember watching the Lopez fight, man, and just like you go to the corner, putting your tongue out, and I'm like, fuck, we're on here. Like, did you have that? Do you have that?
I just had that. I manifest, and we go back to manifesting things, and I just saw that victory. I saw them belts. The way it played out, the way, not the fight. The fight I knew was going to be a war. I knew that, you know, I had to do whatever it took to win that fight. I did say it, though, that I would catch him early. I didn't know if I was going to knock him out early, but I said I'm going to catch him. I will hurt him. I might drop him. Exactly the way it happened. But I saw them belts. I saw that vision. I saw myself, you know, becoming this big star in boxing and going to the Haney fight the week after, going to Gervonta Davis fight. I just envisioned the whole ride, not only the fight, but obviously the whole ride of things. And you know, it was a memorable moment. But for me, I'm just.
Did you say it was a Customado thing that you read, and it was about?
Yeah, Customado as well. Land that right hand. You know, just a lot of little things. I just took things from everywhere. Obviously, my grandfather passing away as well.
That's right.
A few months before, I took everything with me. You know, the scary thing is, well, not scary, but crazy thing is, in the dressing rooms, you know, when I was warming up and getting ready, you know, I had the Greek flag with the Australian flag, like I always do. You know, I'm very proud of both countries and, you know, who I fight for, and I represent, you know, both nations with everything. We were there, and they brought the cameras in with the zone, and they put the lights on. As soon as they put the lights on me, and the Greek flag was behind me, it fell. And we had put it up pretty strong. It literally, half of it fell. And I just felt this chill in there, and I looked at my dad, and he looked at me, and I go, we're winning this fight tonight. He's here with us, whatever it takes. And I feel that in round 10, when I got put down, you can see me just get up, shake it off, and, you know, do my cross and get back into that battle zone. And I feel that he was there helping me, supporting me, you know.
Because for me personally, like, you know, I respectfully, as you know, as a long time friend, and I just was like, from what I've seen, obviously in the past, like it stunned me, that fight, you know, and like even the commentators were touching on, you know, people would kind of just want to come in and get out, and you were happy to take some of it in to give it back. You know? Every time he came, you threw 3-4 back.
That was the plan. That, look, styles make fights, and that's where a lot of supposed boxing fans don't understand that styles make fights, and some styles are very difficult to fight against. Example, Haney. And then Lopez style, for me, being such a fast, accurate counterpunch and throws 3s and 4s, is a perfect guy to fight. A perfect guy that when he comes in heavy on the front foot, I can land my 3 and 4. And that's what I knew. I knew that whatever he brought, you know, I was able to adapt and be able to land my shots. So, you know, I knew that victory was going to be mine no matter what. And I said it from the first day I ever saw Lopez. I just knew that we were going to meet somewhere.
Because nobody wanted a bar of him.
No one wanted to fight him. Look, he was devastating everyone. He was knocking everyone out. And look, he can punch. He's a very good puncher.
and the one, like, the videos I've seen of him putting people down, like, they were just
brutal,
burning into, like, turning into the buckle and
brutal
falling out the ropes.
He's a very big puncher. You know, if I compare him and Haney when it it comes to punch, obviously their power. Lopez got much more power, but again, when it comes to speed and that ring IQ, then Haney takes the edge, and that's where styles make fights. Lopez beat Lomachenko, but now Lomachenko's style might be a better fit to fight Haney and beat Haney. You don't know. Even though I think Haney's going to win that fight, Loma could, with the angles and the movement and getting on the inside and being small and harder to hit, all of a sudden he could pull this off, and we've done a full 360. You just don't know with boxing. That's where boxing fans got to understand that styles make fights, and it doesn't matter win or loss. It's about the excitement of the fight and the big name fighters fighting each other. You
touched on it perfect about protecting this zero bullshit, and I see it in the UFC where it's like it's kind of nothing. It's brushed as in it's a lesson. I mean, you're bound to lose in the UFC, something like quicker than you are. But do you think the zero thing in boxing destroys it a little bit?
Yeah, I think it has in the past. I think it's getting better now, where people are realizing, what doesn't matter. We get great fights. Who cares? The UFC have got a great platform for that, where a guy could lose 2 fights and bounce back and win a title fight in his next fight after.
That's right. That's
he's
exactly
a big name and he's an entertaining fighter. Now, boxing's learnt a little bit better, but it's just, the fans are very hard to pick sometimes. Look, you've got great fans, don't get me wrong. 99% of my fan base is amazing, and I appreciate the support from them. But you get this small little minute fan base where they don't know what they want. They want the best fights. I'll take an example. When I beat Lopez, they were breaking my balls pretty much to say, you got to fight this guy. You got to fight Tank Davis. You got to fight Ryan Garcia. You got to fight Lomachenko. You got to fight Haney. Constant every day. I'm like, mate, relax.
Yeah.
I just beat Lopez. I'm going to fight a top name. I'm going to fight one of them. But they're just constant. But then all of a sudden, when you do fight one of them, and you don't come up, he's rubbish. He's done. He's finished.
Yeah.
He was just a one-trick pony, whatever. So what do you want? Do you want guys to keep this zero and just fight, guys that they know they're going to beat, or you get the best fights, exciting fights, and that's how I've always been. I've always said, I want to fight the best. When I become champion, I fight the best, and same thing now. We're looking forward to our next, fight and our next road to becoming champion again. And when I become champion again, bring on another big name.
Because there was how you said before, where a lot of people said it was about ego, and if it was, you wouldn't have signed the 2-fight deal.
No, that's right. Look, for me, if it was just about ego or money or whatever, I would have taken a different route. I would say, what, I'm going to hold on to the belts. I'm the king here. I'm going to fight this guy from anywhere. I'm going to fight this lower level guy. It's a hard way for me to, I could never have done that. I could never said, what, I took the easier road. Once I took such a hard road to get there, then I took an easier road to hold on to him, and then eventually would have vacated a few belts and, done what I had to do and stayed on top as a big, big name. But, I just wanted to challenge myself, and I knew challenging myself would bring out the best, in me.
Do you reckon for Haney won the first fight with Haney, were you blindsided by the media, demands and things you had to? Were you prepared, or did you think it was going to be that intense?
I was fully prepared. I trained extremely well, but like I said, when I go back to doing the 1%ers right, doing the small things right that I did for the Lopez and all these other fights, being on that real warpath, I kind of lost that warpath. I became more celebrity businessman, promoter, instead of Kambosos, ferocious Kambosos the fighter. Now I lost a little bit of that edge. But again, I was, very proud of being able to do like 45,000 in the stadium. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I look at certain guys that they call big names here, guys that they're pushing so hard in the media, are struggling to even fill out, a small arena here. While Kambosos, who never had that backing and support behind him in the media, went and done 45,000, in a stadium, and then went and done another 15,000 at Rod Laver, and didn't even really promote the fight in the second fight because I was just so focused on fighting. So in that first fight, I had to do what I had to do to promote the fight. I was the champion coming back home to defend. Of course, I had to be everywhere, and I was everywhere. But ultimately, it is what it is in that fight, and you learn from it.
I was quite spewing it wasn't in Sydney, bro. Was there a bid, or how did Melbourne get the edge?
Look, I'm a Sydney, boy from
Yeah.
I'm very confident my next fight's going to be in Sydney. You know, I haven't fought in Sydney since 2016, so to come back here, obviously after what I've achieved, you know, I'm very confident in how big the fight's going to be. But the way things work, you know, you got your stadium fights, and for this fight, it was a deserving fight of a stadium. You needed that big number, you needed, you know, crowds, big crowds. Now, you got to look at Sydney. We don't have any stadiums where they're covered with a roof. The fight was in June. You remember Melbourne? I don't know if you remember that day, but it was cold, rainy.
It was cold as, man.
Miserable day. Now, if you had an open arena, an open stadium, the event's gone to shit. You know, it's terrible. People sitting there in the cold and the rain. Now, Marvel obviously was closed, accommodated with the numbers that we knew we could do, and the government got behind it. You know, the tourism and the sport government in Melbourne, the Victorian government really jumped behind and supported the event, supported both events. So, you know, I appreciate their support. Unfortunately, Sydney missed out on the running for that. But look,
but we would have practically not had anywhere to do it. Is that what?
Well, it would have been hard to do it here. You know, in the middle of June, you would have had to take a risk. You would have had to look at maybe, you know, Bank West, which was a little bit too small, I believe, for this kind of fight. Even though it's a beautiful big stadium, but I think it was just too small. Allianz, which is a beautiful stadium, which I know I'll fight in, you know, hopefully very soon. With the way we're looking at things, it wasn't complete yet. So that stadium was out of the picture. Then you had the Sydney Cricket Ground, which is just too big. It's too much of a circle.
Distance,
It's too far.
Yeah.
Now, look, Marvel was big. You had
I felt there was a more of an atmosphere at the Rod Laver.
Rod Laver, like obviously me being in centre ring, Rod Laver the atmosphere was incredible.
It's crazy.
You got to think of these tennis, you know, precincts and arenas. That atmosphere they're made for that intimate kind. Look, it was a different fight. You know, the first fight was kind of like chess match, him running, jabbing, moving, doing what he had to do, me trying to chase him but couldn't really get him properly. The second fight was toe-to-toe. So, look, the fight obviously, you know, makes the venue as well. You got to think if I fought Lopez in Marvel Stadium, the fighter was in Marvel, that place would have been electric. I always think about that too. I always think, you know what if me and Lopez done it in that stadium like that? And who knows? You know, he might, you know, I know he wants possibly that revenge. I've given him the opportunity many times. Straight after when I beat him, I gave him that opportunity. He didn't want it.
Oh, he didn't want it? I didn't know that.
Straight away, I would have loved to give it to him. I said, you can have it if you want. Didn't want nothing to do with it.
Oh, shit.
Now that he's gone to 140, he's going to challenge for obviously some belts up there if he is successful. And he has that interest in, you know, if he's not scared enough to come back and get his revenge, then we can do it at 140 and I'll take his belts if he does get them up there as well.
He's kind of fell off since...
Yeah, look, he hasn't had many good you know, fights since then. You know, he fought two guys where, you know, he didn't look well at all, you know, the kind of Lopez that people knew.
Bro, would you say you kind of, you know, Conor McGregor finished kind of, you know, Jose Aldo just disappeared, bro? I feel like, because I watched his last fight too, he just wasn't there. I think he lost the last?
Yeah, he's lost the last few fights.
It's kind of
just...
But
that's a whole different, you know, kettle fish. Conor McGregor is such a big star. He's got so many things going on outside of the sport. When you put that much kind of money, you know, in someone's hand and in their account, you know, and you've already achieved double champ and had the belts and whatever, and you're such a global name, it's always going to be a little bit harder to get, you know, back on the horse. But we'll see. He's got a fight thing coming up against Michael Chandler, who's a very good fighter as well. He's doing this tough, you know, one of the coaches for the tough fights that they do. So who knows? Maybe that, you know, motivation has come back for him.
You posted that thing after the fight, bro, about, you know, being the man in the arena, and it was just mad watching, obviously, from, you know, ringside, because Kitty, you know, all of us boys, even with the entrance, and you're no stranger to a good entrance. It's funny when I see a lot of it, I'm like, fuck, he was doing these back in the days, you know, making them wait and, you know, turning around. Do you remix those yourself? What's your process on?
I do. Every song I've ever come out with, I've done it myself.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been hands-on with everything I do, and people think, oh, you must have a DJ or something. No, I got my
so you literally do it yourself?
I do it all myself. I do the actual music, the mixes, the whole thing by myself. I like to know that when I walk out, I've done this song. It's not someone else doing it, I've done it. Back in the day where we were trying to promote fights and obviously didn't have Foxtel or all these guys behind you, I was making the highlight films. I was making these different kind of trailers for an upcoming fight that's at the local club.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been hands-on with that. I've always,
Because even in the amateurs, bro, even in the amateurs, you had a bit of a following too. Like I remember every time you were on, and it was time for us, we'll come out and do, the Croatian club a couple of times. Like there was always you had your own little fan base already back then.
Yeah, I've always had a nice, good fan base. Even from a young kid. Even when I was in the gym sparring, as soon as I'm sparring, everyone would just stop. Everyone would be quiet and watch the sparring. I've just got that style where people want to watch, people are excited to see what I'm doing. I've always had it, but I've just slowly built it, and I got to the point where I was able to do these big things.
Do you reckon? Some people always say, like, I always like to ask this question to people who have done a few big things. Do you reckon this was written, or do you reckon you've kind of, is this something that anyone can work for, or is it, you think it's fate?
Anybody can do anything they want. Ultimately, it comes down to how hard you're going to work to achieve something. Was it destined for me to become world champion? To a point. Was there fate behind it? To a point. Did a bit of luck play into it? Maybe from my hard work, yes. But I feel that you can have all the talent, the destiny, the fate, the luck in the world, but if you don't put in that work, that constant drive, there's someone else who's getting the same kind of destiny and fate that's going to meet with you, and then ultimately it's going to come down to who put in that extra mile, who put in that extra round in the gym, that extra sparring, who went that little bit more, who done the better recovery, the better food, who made the weight cut better. That's what it comes down to. Like, as much as I feel that this was my journey, I was always going to be world champion, I knew that if I kept working the way I did, and I have been, and the way I still train today, that it will happen. It will get there. That when my time would come, it would happen. And the same with me getting all the belts. I feel that, and I tell a few people this, that I feel that God said, you know what? You've had a very hard road. The media didn't support you. You didn't get many people backing you. You've had to do it by yourself. You had to be overseas, struggling to make ends meet, but you're just chasing that dream. But now is your opportunity. Yeah, I'm giving you this opportunity with all the belts. You want to become a star? You want to become world champion? Here they are. So I feel that kind of destiny, my fate came to that through my hard work. But you got to work hard for whatever it is. You got to be prepared to go through anything. To go through hell to become champion, to become successful businessman, to become anything in this world. You got to have that focus. It's that tunnel vision ultimately.
What would you say, like, what helps you stay like consistent with your? Is it just like going to war against the man in the mirror every day, or?
Yeah, I think it's the obsession of just trying to be better, 1% better than what I was yesterday. It's trying to get back, obviously right now, to get back to where I was. I feel that I'm a much better fighter now, much wiser, much more experienced, but getting back to having that belt or them belts. It's the obsession, of the glory, fighting another man in the ring. There's many things, giving my kids that role model where I can sit back and say, look, I got to the top for all my hard work. Then I was not successful, twice. But look, with me, instead of me throwing in the towel and saying, it's over or whatever, I continued to work hard. I stayed focused and disciplined to the sport, and I got back on top. So it's a great role model for my kids and for so many kids around the world where they can say, this guy got there, then was unsuccessful, but hard work where they doubted him again, got back up there again. So it's lessons, life lessons.
So obviously, after a couple of years on, and you've hung up the gloves. What's next? How's the Kambosos Legacy continue? Promotions, or what do you have plans of giving back through classes or something?
Yeah, look, I'm 29 now. I'll be 30 this year. I'd like to fight to about 33, 34 max. Like I said, I've already achieved a fair bit in this sport, but there's more to go in these next few years. But once it's said and done, we have our ferocious promotions company. We have some really good young fighters with us. Give these kids the opportunity, give them the right road, the blueprint to get to the top. Give them, as long as they're going to work hard. And obviously, I'm very good at seeing a young fighter who's got that focus and that discipline and dedication. If you get someone that's talented but doesn't want to put in the hard work, I say, no, go do something else, because you're not going to get anywhere in this sport if you don't have that discipline. So we'll focus on ferocious promotions, put on my promoter's hat on, and build that to where we want to build it.
That's currently running at the moment, yeah.
It's running now. Yeah, it was obviously involved in both, fights, the Haney fights.
How many fighters you got at the moment?
We got 2 pros. We've got a couple of really good amateurs who are about to turn pro as well. We've got a few other guys who are looking at building as well. So
who's the 2 pros you got on? We'll give him a little.
We got Terry, obviously Terry and Nicholas.
Yeah. Shout out Terry.
Terry Nicholas.
He's
We've
the man,
obviously helped out Hussein Fayed as well, who's had a big win in his last fight. Got a couple other really good amateurs as well. So guys that I'm helping out now, bringing them inspiring, teaching them the right road to get to the top. Giving them that blueprint. It's that second part of my career, where the fighting's finished, and then I can focus on building these guys up. Now, to be a trainer, maybe I'll be involved in training some fighters. That's a whole different kind of gig. I'd rather be the promoter. But having my gym, obviously I've got my private gym, bringing in young guys there to have a place where they can call home and
you've got everything there. Is that, I just seen you posted your sauna the other day.
I got my sauna there. I'm getting an ice bath in there. We've got everything we need in that gym. We've got your weights, you got your strength conditioning, you got your boxing gear. The whole lot is in that gym. So it's a private gym. For me at the moment, it's not making me any money. It's investment to myself, my training, and to help the future kids, the young guys that we're building towards bigger things in the future.
You ever open a public one?
Yeah, we would like to open something up end of this year, if not start of next year. We have some plans and obviously some ideas on opening up some public ones as well, and see how that goes. And if it moves the right way, build into a franchise.
That's nice. So when are you looking to glove up again, bro?
I'm going to fight in May. It's going to be May, possibly early June, but most likely it looks like May. We're waiting for obviously all the full details from my promoter.
In Sydney, yeah?
Nah. It looks like it's going to be in Sydney.
Yeah,
Sydney is 90% is going to be Sydney. It's going to be exciting, man, because I haven't fought here for a long time. Obviously, we had to take the 2 big fights to Melbourne, but this time it's going to be true to home. Obviously, huge fan base here, and knowing the numbers, knowing that 23,000 people flew for the first Haney fight to Melbourne from Sydney alone, let alone all the other states, that just shows how big my following is here in Sydney. When you can get 23,000 on a plane, buying flights, buying accommodation, going to the restaurants, that brings in great tourism for the states.
Do you still get stopped a lot while you're out, bro?
What was that?
Do you still get stopped a lot?
Yeah, a lot. Wherever I go, it's constant. People want photos, people want to talk to you, and it's part of the game. I never shy away from a photo.
I've noticed that. Yeah, I've noticed
anybody.
that.
I'll take a photo with everybody. The only times I might have to is when I'm, late at the airport. I'm going to miss my flight, and even then I still get a quick photo in. That's the way I am. As much as people see, Kambosos the fighter, where he has to promote, he has to be a little bit outspoken. There's a whole different kind of who I am, to the fans, and no one's ever turned around and said, that guy never took a photo with him. That guy, he didn't want to talk to me. I'll talk to everybody. Sometimes, it drives my wife, crazy.
Yeah.
We go to the shops and, we only want to go quickly for half an hour, but we get stopped so many times where, I've talked to everybody. And that's the kind of person I am. And ultimately, these guys are, you give someone 5 minutes of your day, he's going to remember that for the rest of his life.
100%.
He's say, that time I met Kambosos, what a guy, he spoke to me, we took a photo, and that's what it's about. I'm blessed to be in this position. Obviously, I worked very hard for it. No one gave it to me, but what's 5, 10,
couple
15
minutes
of my day. Take
Also, our people are very quite similar. Where they're very passionate people, like Islanders, and I see that in the Greek community. They're very loyal, and they're very they back their people and that, and really I can imagine someone like a old Greek lad down the road meet you, and he'll just they remember that for the rest of their life.
The Greeks, I'm very, very proud of my heritage. The Greeks are so passionate, that they support you 110%. Look, obviously there's never been an undisputed champion from Australia bar myself. Bringing all the belts back home. Obviously Greece, they had a heavyweight champion, I believe, or cruiserweight champion back in the day in the 70s, but it was a kind of different kind of belt. But there's never been a legitimate, champion. So I brought a lot of pride and honour to Greece. The Prime Minister wanted me there when I had won the belts. Wanted me to come there, and they wanted to do this big thing. Unfortunately, couldn't get there. But
you ever been back since? No?
I've been to Greece in 2019. I fought in Greece. I had an event there. I fought. I'd love to fight there as well one more time. We were told that the Olympic Stadium there, the one that's made out of marble, where the first Olympics were, that stadium is ready for us. Whenever we want to fight in it, it's there for us. So,
that's mad.
Who knows? You don't know what happens. Lomachenko is obviously Ukrainian, close to Greece. Got a lot of Greek supporters as well. Who knows if he pulls this off, which I can't see, but if he pulls it off against Haney, he might have to return serve.
So you're backing Haney to get it done?
I think Haney's going to pull it off. I believe so.
They're going the distance, you reckon?
I believe they're going to go the distance. I believe that Haney's youth, Haney's size, reach, his boxing skills is going to pull it off. But again, you can't. An old warhorse like Lomachenko with his angles, if he really turns it on, it's going to be a very interesting fight. I'm looking forward to seeing it get signed and beneficial.
Is it, going back to, people stopping you in the street, is it crazy when, does it buzz you out when you're like in another country, like when you're in America and you're cruising around and people want photos? Is it?
Yeah, look, America was very surreal when I beat Lopez. We had to run. We were at the Gervonta Davis fight versus Isaac Cruz. And as soon as the fight finished, we had so many people around us taking photos and the media there. And we literally had to get security to take us through the back of the Staples Center to get out through a back door so we can sprint to our hotel. And people were still waiting. They had photos. They had gloves for me to sign. They chased us all the way to my hotel. And literally, if you go on my dad's social media, he puts everything up. You'll see the commotions that I caused literally in America. So that's when when you're big here, that's cool.
Yeah.
But when you're big worldwide, when you're big in America, when you're getting stopped at the airport, when you're getting stopped anywhere in the street, that's where you know what, this guy's the face. This guy, really did something.
Because we were talking off camera, bro. And I just want to touch on it. After you win, Joe Rogan said he posted something on his story and
on his actual Instagram.
Oh, his Instagram.
Actual Instagram.
Oh, so he posted it to his feed.
He posted it to his feed, which was so cool. Obviously, a big fan of Joe Rogan, and obviously, I was blessed to get on the podcast with him. We made that happen, and
did you have to fly? Was it in
Texas? Yeah, so we flew there. I was literally doing a massive tour after I beat Lopez. I was in New York. Then I went to Miami, done some media there. Went to the basketball game there and done a big event there. And then from there, we flew to Vegas, watch Haney and Jojo Diaz. Done heaps of media there, part of the commentary team. Then we flew to LA, watched Gervonta Davis fight with Isaac Cruz, heaps of media there. Then we went to Texas, done Joe Rogan. Then we were supposed to go to LA, back to LA to do Mike Tyson. Obviously, they didn't know where Mike was, so we couldn't do that.
Oh, so you were going to go on the hot box?
So we we're going to do that as well. And then got to come home and flew home to, packed out airport with all the media there.
Was there something
media where they didn't want to be there before I won the belts, and then they all turned up at the airport, which I'm grateful for, but they should have been there beforehand as well.
I think I remember listening. Was there something hidden about the Joe Rogan where it is or something? The podcast?
It is, yeah. Look, all they were missing was the mask where they couldn't see where you could go. They picked us up from the hotel in a van, and they said, "Look, we don't tell you where it is. We're going to drive you there." They drove us there. It's just like a normal-looking warehouse. Went inside, and then all of a sudden there's Rogan's place, and he comes out, and we did a COVID test, make sure we're all good. Started having a chat. Then as we're talking, we're going back and forth with a few things. He said, stop. Let's leave it all for the podcast. He goes, because we're getting too much out. Because, when you're talking with someone, and like we're doing now, you start to think of things, and then all of a sudden you won't use it, and when you actually want to get it on video. So it was cool, man. It was very surreal. Doing it.
So it's in a warehouse type
Yeah, it was
space.
in a warehouse. He's got his studio in the back, and it was one of my memorable moments doing that. He's a massive. He's a global icon.
Oh, it was huge. I still remember when I seen it.
Second biggest podcast in the world.
Yeah, I seen because obviously after becoming the watch, is it obviously being at that level, there's much say fanboyish stuff things happen. I remember you jumped on, was it Jake Paul or someone?
Yeah, well, look, we FaceTime with Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talk all the time. You know, he fought this morning. Yeah, unfortunately, couldn't get the win. I was backing him, you know, because he's a good guy. You get so many guys on social media. You know, if I go through who follows me, who's
Yeah, do you get any ones that you're like, fuck,
it's crazy, man. Like you got
someone you've ever looked up to and they've given you a...
You got a lot of like MMA fighters, and Anderson Silva, obviously Jake Paul.
Oh, yeah?
LL Cool J.
Oh,
You got so many, man.
Yeah.
If I go through it, it's like...
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
You're a freak. You'll be like, look at these people, like, how do they know me? You know? And it just shows that, you know, you've done something in the sport where they're showing the support and behind you as well.
Well, bro, you know, obviously, just to wrap it up, how do you, George Kambosos, want to be remembered, bro, when it's all said and done?
Well, I feel like I've already created, you know, a lot of history for our sport here in Australia. You know, no one can ever take that away, what I did. But, you know, for me, this is the next part where I want to continue building the legacy even more. You know, my mindset that I'm already one of the greats from this country.
There's no doubt, yeah.
You know, when you look at, you know, where they do these social media things and people put out, you know, the greatest fighters in Australian history, I'm always a part of it. Now, the thing that I see from there is all these other guys, they're all retired, they're old men, they're finished. The only guy that's still there and only 29 years of age is Kambosos.
Still active.
So still active, still got so much to give. So, you know, I want to become a world champion again. And then from there, we'll see. We might move up a division, try to get some more belts. But again, they remember me, and I think I already have that presence that Kambosos is a warrior. He fights, you know, he'll fight any man. You know, he's not worried about, you know, chasing easy fights. He always wants to dare to be great. And he did it the hard way. He did it the way where, you know, a lot of people said he wouldn't get there, but he did it his way and he got there.
All right, yeah, sweet, man. Once again, bro, thanks for your time, brother. I appreciate you, and you know, you're definitely epitome of, you know, hard work and somebody that embodies what we do here at GEEDUP, which is just, you know, dedication and kind of the never not working mentality where you're always plugged in,
yep.
always chipping away, whether it's, you know, active physically but also mentally as well. And you know, just want to thank you for your time, bro, and all the best. And we'll be there ringside at in May.
Definitely. Look, appreciate it. Obviously, great to chat, and obviously appreciate GEEDUP. You know, always been in my corner and the support. And you know, like you just touched, you know, the same motto that I have is the same motto that you guys have, and that same vision, you know, of that constant hard work and you know, never just resting on your laurels. Always just trying to be better and better. And you know, coming from wherever you come from, you can come from any area, and you can get there. No matter you put the hard work in, you get there. So you know, it's two great, you know, great relationship and two great, you know, companies.
All right, sweet, brother. Thank you.